Hello students, welcome back to Notebook. Our lesson today is on judiciary. All of you are quite well versed with the word court and must have seen court buildings in your cities. Did you know that the Supreme Court of India, located on Tilak Marg in New Delhi, is planned and designed in such a way that it represents the scales of justice? The oldest High Court in India is the Calcutta High Court, whose design architect is based on the Hall of Ypres in Belgium. The Hyderabad High Court on the south bank of River Musi has one of the finest court buildings in India, built in Saracenic style. The Allahabad High Court, with the maximum number of serving judges and lawyers, is the biggest court in Asia. Interesting, isn't it? But courthouses, apart from their historic significance and architectural predominance, play an integral part of our judiciary system. We have read earlier that in India we have the rule of law, and the judiciary ensures the enforceability of this law. The gamut of judiciary is wide and diverse. From domestic violence to hampering national integrity, every matter is under the purview of the judicial system. Let's classify the role of judiciary into three subparts for a better understanding. First is the dispute resolution. It's the primary responsibility of a judiciary to address contention between citizens, between government and citizens, between two state governments, and between a state and the central government. Second is the judicial review. The ultimate interpretation of the Constitution lies with the judiciary. The judiciary reviews and strikes off any particular law if it violates the Constitution. Finally, the judiciary is responsible for upholding the law and enforcement of fundamental rights. Any independent citizen can approach the Supreme Court or High Court on violation of any of the fundamental rights. You have very often heard about corrupt politicians influencing the judges with their political powers, right? So in order to perform without any interference, particularly from the government in power, the judiciary requires to be independent. This aspect is integrated with separation of power, the concept we learned in our previous chapter. The legislative and the executive organs of the state are not supposed to interfere with the judiciary. The appointment of the judges to the High Courts and Supreme Court works on the basic principle of absolute non-interference to secure the independence of the judiciary. Now let's come back to the judiciary structure of India, which follows a pyramid shape. There are multiple courts at the district or tehsil level, called the district courts. Above this, at the state level, we find the High Courts. The High Court is the highest judiciary body of any state. At the apex of the pyramid is the Supreme Court of the country. The decision of the Supreme Court supersedes the decisions of the lower courts. Similarly, the verdicts of any higher court are binding on the lower courts, and this is called the integration of the judiciary. The appellate system is a way to understand this integration. Any party to a case can appeal to a higher court in case of discontent with the respective court order. This is popularly referred to as the appellate system. We will understand this more through an interesting case study. Lakshman Kumar married a 20-year-old Sudha Goel in February 1980, and in December 1980, Sudha died due to burns in the hospital. Lakshman's neighbors and his in-laws gave statements against him in the court. All of them stated that this was intentional, whereas Lakshman and his mother stated that this was accidental, where fire was caught while heating milk. Lakshman and his mother Shakuntala and his brother-in-law Subhash Chandra were tried in the trial court. In November 1983, the three accused went to the High Court and appealed against this order. The High Court, after hearing all the lawyers, stated the three accused as not guilty. This verdict of the High Court sparked a nationwide agitation with complete support from the Indian Federation of Women Lawyers. The acquittal of Lakshman and 2 others were appealed against in the Supreme Court in 1985. 3 of them were found guilty and were imprisoned for life. There are 2 prominent types of cases in the judiciary, the criminal law and the civil law. The criminal law deals with cases which relates to criminal offense, like murder, theft, extortion and various other crimes. Civil law is all about violation of the basic rights. For example, rent matters, land-related disputes, and so on. The initiation of the proceedings in case of criminal case is done by an FIR, that is, a First Information Report. Civil case law begins with a petition before the relevant court by the affected party. The punishment in case of any criminal case is imprisonment and/or fine, but civil case has the option for specific relief. For example, in a land dispute case, the court can pass verdict in favor of the actual owner without any typical punishment to the other party. Now let's learn another interesting term, the PIL or Public Interest Litigation. All of you are well versed with the very popular midday meals in school. This was implemented to enhance the nutritional standing of the school-going children. Did you know that this midday meal is the product of a PIL? Public interest litigation was a mechanism devised in the early 1980s in accordance with the Constitution of India. This was to protect and expedite the social justice mostly for the weaker and poorer sections of the society. However, the judiciary too has its own set of limitations. Some court judgments work against the interests of the common people. In recent times, the judgment on eviction has triggered a widespread social concern. Also, judiciary system mostly runs like a snail, with court cases stretching across a long period of time. This is where we get the phrase, justice delayed is justice denied. But even then, judiciary plays a very prominent role in today's democratic India. With this, we close our video lesson. Stay tuned for a recap and Q&A videos.